What is up, everybody? Simply Jeff is back, and today I am bringing you an Oracle Think Tank Magus deck build. I really like the Maguses. I think they're a lot of fun to play against and with. They take the mystery and luck base out of a card game, which I think is really interesting. A friend of mine here at school runs them, and I actually tried to buy the deck off of him, and then he saw there was new support coming out, and he's like, "Heh, nah." And I was like, "Okay, that's fair." Because with the new support, they're even better than they were before. So we're just going to go ahead and dive right into this deck build here. Starting off, we have our starter, one Semilunar Magus. This should be a pretty obvious starter for the Magus build because it's not the heal trigger anymore, which is pretty nice. And you don't. What I really like about Semilunar Magus is you don't have to put her into Soul until you know you're going to get the draw two. So the way it works is reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's the card you declared it to be, put her into Soul and then draw two, which is really nice because if it's not the card you declared it to be, you don't put her into Soul and you keep your 5k booster, which is pretty good. It gives you it takes the mystery out of it, which really embodies what Magus does. So I really like it. Moving on with the grade zeros, we get to the trigger lineup for Lozenge Magus, for Paisley Magus, for Triangle Magus, and for Psychic Bird. Um, I really like Psychic Bird in here, just to give you that extra draw power, because it makes it feel almost like you're playing 8 crit, 8 draw, which is pretty fun. Um, I was going to originally put two Lozenge Mages, and two Sphere Magus, but then I thought about it, uh, and I was like, no, keep the ratios as high as possible, just in case something's not going right in your deck and you need to play with probability. So there's Lozenge Magus. Paisley Magus should be a pretty obvious crit trigger to put in here. Just because it's so nice, it synergizes so well with the deck. Just put on Rear Guard and look at the top card of your look at the top card of your library, and then you can choose to put it on top or bottom, which is really nice. That scry mechanic is really helpful in Maguses because this way you have a way to get rid of something you don't want. Um, Triangle Magus is just in here for a little bit extra draw power and to keep the Magus name going. Um, Magus really benefits highly from draw power. It's a very defensive build, so that draw power is really helpful. Moving on to the grade 1s, we got 4 Circle Magus, 4 Tetra Magus, 4 Crescent Magus, and 2 Cone Magus. Starting from left to right, Circle Magus is really nice because it's the deck's main mechanic in a card. Put it onto Rearguard or Vanguard, and look at the top card of your library. It's really nice that it activates on Vanguard, too. That's just a huge bonus for it. Um, Tetramagus is pretty obvious. It's a perfect guard. You need 4 perfect guards in today's current meta. And I didn't feel Countercharge was too important to the deck. I felt like the 2 Cone Magus covered all the Countercharge you're going to really need. So that's why I didn't swap out Maguses for any Perfect Guard G eras. You could if you really wanted to, but I personally just wanted to keep the Magus name going. Going next to Crescent Magus, it's almost always going to be a 9k booster, which is really nice to have. 9k boosters work really well in a lot of situations. Any extra power you can get on your Vanguard just to push you past that, just to put you past that like shield limit is really helpful. 2 Cone Magus, I wanted some sort of counter charge, and I felt like Cone Magus was just the best way to do it. You unflip 2 damage if you declare properly, and you should always be declaring properly in OTT. So, or especially with Maguses, I mean. So, excuse me, if I sound a little sick, it's because I still am. But, so that's why I put Cone Magus in here. Now, if you want to put Stride Fodder in here, you could. If you removed a Circle Magus and a Crescent Magus, you could put 2 in. I would not recommend putting more than 2, just because it doesn't do much for you. This deck doesn't necessarily need Stride, it's just benefited from it. So Stride fodder is not the most important thing for this deck. Moving on to the grade 2s, we have 4 Briolette Magus, 4 Stellar Magus, and 3 Rhombus Magus. These, in my opinion, are the best grade 2s you could run with Maguses. Briolette Magus is just really nice to have. You get a draw, and you can put her on top of the deck, so you get the draw and the prediction that you need to make the rest of your deck run, which is really fun. Combos really well with Stellar Magus, who's looking at Stellar Magus. Counterblast 1, if you have an OTT Vanguard, or when this unit attacks, you can declare the top card. If you do, draw it, and if you don't, if you declare properly, I mean draw the card, and if you don't, unflip it damage. So there's no risk to Stellar Magus, which is really nice. And since it activates on grade 2, it can help you get an extra draw and combo well Briolette, so that way you just bounce Briolette back to hand, which is pretty fun. Then you can just keep abusing Briolette over and over again. And I found that when I was playtesting it, and especially when my friend played it, that he was almost always declaring that it was Briolette Magus, and I was doing something similar, just because Briolette Magus is so easy to bounce back to the top of the deck, and then it combos really well with cards like Stellar Magus. Looking at Rhombus Magus, it's really nice to have that extra 5k power if you declare the card properly, which you almost always will. If you're playing Maguses right, you will. And so a 14k swinger, pretty nice. Very heavy hitter, and definitely gives a little bit more pressure to your rear guard combos. Going to grade 3s, we have 4 Hexagonal Magus and 4 Pentagonal Magus. Let me just say that I was really excited to see that the secret rare picture was the main picture on the wiki, because, I mean, it's just freaking gorgeous. Look at that. And, so these are obviously the 2 best Maguses you could use in your grade 3 lineup. Hexagonal Magus' break ride ability is just really dirty. Draw a card, and you get to know the top 2 cards of your library, which is really nice. And then Pentagonal Magus, if on the turn you break ride, will essentially get 15k and an extra crit, because you're going to know the top card of your library from the break ride alone. And then you can Counterblast to give it another 5k just to push it out of that shield range a little bit more, which is just really, really dirty. If they don't have a perfect guard on the turn you break ride, they're kind of screwed. And that's what I really like about the Maguses, is they're defensive until they swing with Pentagonal Magus, and then they just swing really hard. So that it makes it pretty interesting to play against. Going to the grade 4 lineup, we have 4 Globe Magus, 2 Takamikazuki, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, and 2 Nine-Headed Dragon King. Again, just going from left to right, Globe Magus should be a very obvious choice in here, just because it's the Magus Stride. And during your turn, if you have Magus in the card name, at any point during your turn, you can look at the top card of your deck, and then put it back on top, which is just not fair. Like, it's such an easy ability to abuse, especially with Maguses when you have to declare the top card all the time. So, first, before you attack, look at the top card, so that way you know if you're getting a trigger. Then, at the end of your turn, look at the top card, so you know what's going to end up in damage. And then you can choose to block or take damage accordingly. So it really helps take the mystery out of card games, which is what Maguses are known for. I have 2 Takamikazuki in here. Again, terrible at pronouncing names. But just because it's nice to get a little bit extra draw power there. And same with Nine-Headed Dragon, that's why he's in there too. I personally like Nine-Headed Dragon better, just because you can cycle your triggers back into the deck and draw 3 cards. That way you start trigger stacking a little bit, and so that's why I like Nine-Headed Dragon better. But Takami is also very useful. Get that to draw, and then you can put the other cards back on the bottom of your deck, so you don't have to worry about getting them. Because if you really wanted them, you'd put them in your hand. So that's going to conclude this Oracle Think Tank Magus deck build. I hope you all enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Feel free to leave any deck builds you want me to do, boss battles you want me to make, or just videos in general that you want me to work on. Leave that in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. This is SimplyJeff, signing off.